Your chance to bid on a piece of Hollywood history. More than 1,000 movie props are going up for auction next week with an estimated value of $10 million. Memorabilia auction house Propstore is hosting the auction, which kicks off next week in LA. Joining us now is Brandon Alinger, the Propstore COO. Let's start with what you've got here. Thanks so much for joining us. The first one, we were emailing yesterday to see what you had up for grabs, and I asked if you had any James Bond memorabilia up for grabs. What have you got?
Yeah, so what I have here is an original watch that was used by Daniel Craig in the film Casino Royale. You can see it just on the film in front of me, and what's really interesting about this, it's not just a typical off-the-shelf watch. It is a real Omega wristband, but the watch face, you can just see in the photos there how cloudy it is. It's cast rubber, and the reason for that is there's a very quick scene in the beginning of the film where he uses it like a pair of brass knuckles, where he wraps around his knuckles as if he's going to hit someone. And of course, they needed a soft prop rubber version so he didn't hurt any other actors on set. But it is an original piece used in the making of the film that is coming up for auction next week at Propstore.
So what's really interesting about this one as well is I remember when the movie came out, including, I think, even in the trailer, it was the first big moment that James Bond embraced product placement. It got a lot of criticism in the British press at the time because it was sort of so overt. I think he started to drink Heineken rather than necessarily ordering a vodka martini and would say, I'd like a Heineken. And Omega won the chance to be his watch sponsor, and quite overtly when he's discussing it with Ava Green, the actress, she comments on what a lovely watch she has, and he goes, oh, it's not a Rolex, it's an Omega, or something like that. So this is that very watch.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Not overly subtle there with the dialogue in the film. I mean, this is one of them. The thing with film props and costumes is there are always multiples, and this one made for a very specific purpose with that soft rubber, what we would call a stunt prop, stunt face on it. It was intended for the action sequences as opposed to a hero prop or a beauty version that might have been used for that scene that you're describing with Eva Green.
I must say, if I was, as much as I love James Bond, if I was shelling out 5 or 10 grand for a watch, I'd want one with a clear face as opposed to a rubber one.
Understood. Fair enough.
What's the single most expensive item in your, if you were guessing now, likely to be?
Yeah, it's this one, really. I mean, this is the piece that everyone's talking about. This is the original Darth Vader lightsaber that was used in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's one of the most significant Star Wars pieces that has ever come to auction. And this is what we call the bladed dueling lightsaber. So you can see at the top here, there's a small steel post coming out of it. And they mounted to that a fiberglass rod that they actually used for the fight sequences. So they literally had to go and, bang away at each other with these sticks. And of course, the famous glow and the sound effects all come later through effects work. But this is the actual prop, and it is the highest quality, most verified, most vetted lightsaber prop that has ever come to public auction. It's arguably the best Star Wars piece, arguably one of the most significant pieces from the past 50 years or so of cinema. It's something the whole world recognizes, everybody knows. It's a symbol not only of Star Wars, but really of all of cinema. And that has got a lot of people incredibly excited. So we've had a lot of inquiries on this already. I can tell you the pre-sale estimate is $1 million to $3 million US. It's possible it will surpass even that.
Brandon, I'm curious, does movie memorabilia tend to appreciate over time? Is this the type of investment that people buy expecting it to go higher, in the future?
It is, yeah. I mean, look, we tell people buy what you love. But of course, if people are spending these levels of money, investment is a consideration, return is a consideration. We've seen tremendous growth in the market over the past 10 or 15 years. Some of the pieces we have in this auction, for example, the Indiana Jones bullwhip here, the starting price on this one is $250,000. Going back just 6, 7, 8 years ago, these were trading at more like $50,000 per unit. So, there are a number of Indiana Jones whips on the market. This, again, is one of the very best examples we've ever seen. We expect this one to do very well, but, these have probably come up 5x in the past 5 or 6 years. The record price for any piece of movie memorabilia was actually set last year at another auction. It was a pair of the ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz, which I believe sold for around $28 million. And the prior pair of those was probably sold 12 or 13 years before that, and it only traded at something like 2 or 3 million. So a lot of growth, a lot of new money coming to this market, a lot of new buyers. and especially for the top tier content, things like the Darth Vader lightsaber that we have coming up for auction next week. I mean, these are the things that the top buyers are really seeking out.
Brandon, for those of us nerds, and this is a very nerdy thing for like a Squawk Box audience, because it's the thing I want. How much is that? The almanac? That almanac is from Back to the Future. I think it's Back to the Future 2, right?
You got it. Yeah, it's a key plot point in Back to the Future 2, absolutely. And the pre-sale estimate on that one is $20,000 to $40,000. I looked the other day. I think the pre-bidding on the auction, because of course the auction is not till next week. I think the pre-bidding already has it up to $27,500. But if you love Back to the Future, you know how key this is to the plot of that second film. It's the thing that drives the whole movie forward. It's how Biff gets rich and sort of wrecks the future. It's a great prop. And again, of course, there were a number of them. This one was gifted to somebody who was a PA on the film at the time. He's had it tucked away ever since. This particular one has never come on the collector's market before. It's a really nice piece. And Back to the Future is another one of those big franchises, 1980s franchises that has really come into its own. It's really matured. The people that loved it as a kid are of an age where they now have disposable income, and they love to get a little piece of their childhood, a piece of nostalgia, and a piece that is incredibly collectible at the same time.
Brandon, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great stuff that you showcased for us there.
Thanks for having me on, and we'll see you at the auction.